Okay, so this news, wow, it's definitely one of those moments that makes you really stop and think about where tech is headed.
It really is.
We're talking about Jony Ive.
Here.
I mean, the designer behind so many iconic Apple products, the iMac, iPod, iPhone, iPad, just everything.
The defining look and feel for a generation of tech, yeah.
And he's joining forces with OpenAI, the ChatGPT people, the ones really shaking up the whole AI landscape.
It's quite the team up, isn't it? You've got the master of physical form, the person who literally shaped how we hold technology,
Wow.
partnering with the company pushing the absolute edge of AI. It feels, well, significant.
Totally significant. And to really get our heads around it, we've been digging through a whole bunch of sources, reports in the BBC, Endion, Pure AI, CNET, Futurism.
Yeah, and even checking out the buzz on places like Reddit to see what people are speculating about.
Exactly. So our mission here for this deep dive is basically to cut through the noise,
Yeah.
get you the key details fast, what this partnership actually is, what they might be building this sort of mystery device.
Right? The what and the why, too. Like the strategy behind this huge move.
And of course the challenges, because this is not easy, plus the excitement around it all.
Let's get into it then.
Okay, so the headline news. Sir Jony Ive partnering with OpenAI, but it's actually more structured than just a partnership. OpenAI is buying Ive's startup.
That's the core of it. The startup's called IO, and OpenAI is acquiring it. And the reported value, it's huge, $6.5 billion.
$6.5 billion. Wow, that's a lot for a company that's only been around for, what, a year or so?
It is, but it seems this wasn't just out of the blue. The sources say Ive's main design firm, LoveFrom.
Yeah, LoveFrom.
They've been quietly collaborating with Sam Altman at OpenAI for about 2 years already.
Okay, so this has been brewing.
Seems like it. And that collaboration eventually led to them setting up IO last year. Apparently, OpenAI already had a decent stake in it, too, something like 23%.
Gotcha. So less of a sudden jump, more of a formalizing and scaling up of something already happening.
Exactly. And the key relationship is definitely Ive and Altman. Altman apparently called Ive the greatest designer in the world. So clearly, huge mutual respect there.
You'd need that for this kind of venture. And it's not just Ives, right? They're bringing over his team.
Yeah, a whole team from IO. Around 55 people, hardware engineers, software folks, manufacturing specialists.
And some big names from Apple's past.
That's right. People like Evans Hankey and Tang Tan, who are pretty senior in design and product over at Apple. That kind of experience is crucial if you're serious about hardware.
No kidding. Hardware's tough.
Yeah.
So when does this all become official?
They're expecting it to close this summer, 2025, assuming it clears all the regulatory checks.
Right, standard procedure.
Yeah.
Okay, so the team's in place, the money's clearly there, Ive's design influence is baked in. What on earth are they actually building? The descriptions sound ambitious.
Oh, incredibly ambitious. The shared goal, Ive and Altman's, is to completely reimagine what it means to use a computer. That's the quote.
Reimagine the computer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, or phrased slightly differently, develop a new generation of AI-powered computers, or even a new family of devices.
And it's not just talk. Altman mentioned a specific product.
He did. He said they're working on the first one already, something that has just completely captured our imagination. He's apparently even used a prototype.
What did he think?
Get this. He reportedly thinks it's the coolest piece of technology that the world will have ever seen.
Okay, zero pressure then. It's quite a statement.
It really is. And the way they describe this thing, it sounds like a real shift from, phones and laptops.
How so?
The idea is to integrate AI seamlessly, intuitively into your life. Make it feel emotionally accessible, which, is classic Ive territory.
Right, like the early Apple stuff. Easy, intuitive.
Exactly. They're calling it a radically different device, a personal AI companion. Definitely not just another smartphone.
So the speculation must be wild. What are people saying it might be?
Well, there's talk of a screenless phone, but that feels a bit simplistic, maybe. One specific rumor from supply chain analyst Ming-Chi Kuo is interesting. He suggested it might look like an old iPod shuffle.
Really? Like the little clip-on one?
Yeah, maybe even one around the neck. He also mentioned it might have cameras and microphones for what they're calling environmental detection.
Environmental detection. What does that mean exactly?
It sounds like the device would use sensors, the camera, the mic, to constantly understand what's around you,
Okay.
where you are, what you're doing, maybe who you're talking to. So the AI isn't just reactive, it's aware of your context. Altman apparently described it internally as being fully aware of its environment.
Wow. So less a tool you pull out, more.
Hmm.
Always on, always aware, like a true companion.
That seems to be the concept. But then Altman has also apparently suggested it could be unobtrusive, something you just keep in your pocket or maybe on your desk.
Huh. So maybe less like jewelry, more like
Mm.
just there.
Yeah, potentially acting as a kind of third core device alongside your laptop and phone. So maybe the form factor isn't locked down, or that shuffle idea was just one concept.
Or an early prototype makes sense. When might we actually see this thing?
The timeline they're reportedly aiming for is a release sometime in 2026.
2026, okay.
And importantly, Ive's firm, LoveFrom, stays independent but gets the design contract for all of OpenAI's stuff, hardware and software.
Ah, so they're shaping the whole experience, software, look and feel included. That's key.
Definitely.
Which, I guess, brings us to the big why. Why is OpenAI, the AI software giant, suddenly diving headfirst into the hardware game? It's notoriously difficult. And why right now?
Well, the analysis we're seeing points to a really core strategic reason. OpenAI wants its own direct line to customers.
Bypass the middleman.
Exactly. They don't want to be totally dependent on delivering their AI through devices made by Apple or running on Google's Android, for example. They want their own platform, their own hardware connection to you.
So it's about controlling the experience end to end, sort of like Apple's model.
Precisely. It's a strategic push into what's being called physical AI, taking the intelligence off the cloud and servers and putting it right into a device you interact with physically.
Makes sense.
And there seems to be a personal drive, too. Altman mentioned wanting to bring back some of that delight, wonder, and creative spirit he felt using early Apple computers.
Yeah, that resonates. That feeling of something new and intuitive.
And I apparently feels like his whole career, the last 30 years, has kind of been leading up to this moment. Like this is the next natural step for computing.
That's a powerful narrative, believing this is the future and you're the one to build it.
It is. Though we should probably mention there are other takes. Ming-Chi Kuo, the analyst.
Right, the iPod shuffle guy.
Yeah, he suggested the timing might also be about maybe shifting attention away from Google's big AI announcement.
The Google I.O. stuff.
And maybe even distracting from some internal things happening at OpenAI. Who knows?
Could be a mix of things. Strategic, personal, maybe opportunistic timing.
Probably. But whatever the mix, it definitely makes you think of that Alan Kay quote, right? People who are really serious about software should make their own hardware.
Huh. Yeah, OpenAI is certainly taking that to heart now. $6.5 billion worth of seriousness.
But that brings us straight to the challenges, because hardware, it's just tough.
Super tough. And we've seen attempts at AI-first devices recently that, well, didn't exactly take off.
No, and the big cautionary tale everyone brings up is the Humane AI Pin.
Oh, yeah. That got a lot of buzz initially, also founded by ex-Apple people.
Exactly. But it really struggled, didn't it? Problems with battery, getting too hot, the actual functions were limited, it cost a lot. One source called it a spectacular failure.
Ouch. Yeah, that definitely casts a shadow and makes people skeptical about this whole category of devices.
It does. And OpenAI isn't just fighting skepticism, they're fighting giants.
Yeah.
Google, for instance.
Right. As some folks on Reddit pointed out, Google is already everywhere.
Totally. Chrome is the browser, Android is the OS on most phones. They're putting their AI assistant in cars with Android Automotive and TVs.
They have the ecosystem.
They have the ecosystem, they have the supply chains, the global distribution, decades of experience. OpenAI is basically starting from scratch on the hardware side.
And that ambition. Shipping 100 million units for a first hardware product.
Yeah, one analyst, Thomas Husson, called that a bold bet for a software company with no hardware track record, no supply chain.
Bold is one word for it.
He thinks Apple, despite maybe lagging slightly on some AI features right now, is still the company best placed to win this marathon race. The built-in advantages are just huge.
It's a massive uphill battle on a hardware front, no doubt.
Mm-hmm.
Did Apple react to this news?
Their stock dipped a bit, reportedly over 2%. Which is interesting given Apple's also facing questions about its own AI progress and, well, losing key design talent like Ive and others who've now joined OpenAI.
Right, adds another layer to it.
Yeah.
But even with all those challenges, all the skepticism, you just can't discount Jony Ive.
You absolutely cannot. His track record is just remarkable, disrupting markets, creating iconic products. He's a singular figure, as one source put it.
His name alone adds so much credibility, doesn't it?
Immense credibility. Analyst Justin McGurk said Ive brings serious design credibility, and that's vital right now to, quote, boost confidence and keep the hype machine rolling, especially after things like the Humane Pin failure.
Yeah, it signals this might be different.
Exactly. And Ben Wood summed it up pretty well. It would be foolish to bet against Jony Ive.
Hard to argue with that. So, thinking bigger picture, if this isn't just a phone or a laptop, what could this radically different device actually mean for how we all interact with tech going forward?
It really pushes us to imagine a future beyond screens, doesn't it? Could this be the first step towards AI that we interact with more through voice or gestures or just context managed by this seamless agent?
It definitely puts OpenAI right in the thick of the AI hardware race. You know, Meta's doing headsets, Google's got glasses and other things. Apple's expected to integrate AI more deeply.
Yeah, everyone's trying to figure out the next form factor for AI. And that Reddit discussion touched on this idea of the AI agent narrative.
Right, the idea that AI becomes less of a tool you use and more of a constant companion.
Exactly. Always there, always helping. Could this OpenAI device be the first really successful physical version of that? An AI just woven into your life through this thing you carry or wear?
It's fascinating. So let's try and wrap this up. OpenAI is placing a massive multi-billion-dollar bet on hardware.
Yep, teaming up with arguably the most famous designer alive, Jony Ive, and his new team.
To build something intended to completely change how we use computers, shifting towards this integrated, intuitive AI future.
It's got revolutionary potential, absolutely. World-class design meets cutting-edge AI, but the hurdles are enormous.
Yeah, past AI hardware failures, entrenched competitors like Apple and Google with huge advantages, and just the sheer difficulty of making and selling hardware at scale.
It's a super high-stakes gamble. Could be game-changing, could be another expensive experiment.
Definitely one to watch closely. Which leaves us, and you, with some big questions, right? With AI moving so fast, what could this radically different device actually look like in 2026? And how might something like that really change your everyday relationship with technology?
Yeah, what are the benefits or even the challenges of having a device that's acting as this constant AI companion, always aware of your environment? Lots to think about as this story unfolds.